Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and it is time for Thursday Night Football, Week 7. The New Orleans Saints, our New Orleans Saints, who currently sit at a whopping record of 2-4, coming off one of the most embarrassing losses in franchise history to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past Sunday, has a very short week as they take on their former coach, the winningest coach in Saints history, the coach that led us to our first and only and probably ever Super Bowl in franchise history. Yes, Sean Payton returns to the Superdome, this time as the Broncos head coach, as the Denver Broncos enter New Orleans with a record of 3-3. Thursday night showdown. This ought to be interesting. I'm not going to go as far to say this is going to be good, because I doubt it, but it is going to be interesting to say the least. As we left off just a few days ago, it feels like yesterday actually, when the Saints went final on Sunday afternoon, losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the score of 51-27. A lot of emotions were running high in the Who Dat Nation. Everybody wanted blood. In particularly, they wanted Dennis Allen's blood. I was calling before Dennis Allen to be fired, but I knew he wasn't going to be fired this week, being as though we have a short week to prepare for this game on Thursday night. So I figured that he would stay on board. But then Mickey Loomis came and just, as I said, if you listen to my recap of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss, I said I wasn't upset. I wasn't even mad. My emotion wasn't, I didn't care. I was like a blank. It was like, I was stuck in purgatory or something. I had zero emotion. And so everything that I was saying was clear. Every statement that I was making was thought out. It wasn't a statement of emotion. I wasn't mad at all. Disappointed? Yeah, sure. Not so much at the loss, but how we lost. But I wasn't mad. I was like, you know what? It is what it is, because I'm used to it. I'm used to it under Dennis Allen. I didn't get mad until I heard the Mickey Loomis interview. And in case you didn't hear it, I believe it was on WWL radio. Bobby Hebert and I forgot who else co-host the show with him, but they had Mickey Loomis on, and they're talking to him, asking him questions. And Mickey Loomis, just like he did in that end of the year press conference last season when he was chewing gum like a horse and talking down to the Who Dat Nation like we're a bunch of idiots, it was basically that, just minus the gum. He was talking as if we don't know what we're looking at. Either he's super delusional, super arrogant, or just plain stupid. It was one of the three. I cannot wrap my head around why you would make statements like that. If he doesn't want to tip his hand that he's going to fire Dennis Allen or whatever, that's fine. You just dodge the question. Like, look, I don't want to answer that right now. We got to prepare for a game Thursday night. That's the end of it. There's nothing else to talk about. But to sit there and defend this man like he's doing a stand-up job. One of the sound bites that just blew my mind, because I expected him to say the little PC answers and dance around the questions like he was Gregory Hines. I didn't expect for him to sit there and make all these excuses. Oh, yeah, we did allow 51 points last week, but the defense has played well the rest of the year. What? Did he watch the game? They quit. That team flat out quit last Sunday. In the middle of the third quarter and on, they quit. And nobody can tell me otherwise. Nobody. I watched football long enough. I played football long enough. I know when a team quits. That team quit. Making excuses for this team being in a slump. Oh, we have a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries to key players. It's hard for us to bounce back from that. Everybody has it. Every team in the National Football League have a key player that's out. Every team. The Kansas City Chiefs, undefeated. They are undefeated right now. Their whole receiving core is depleted. They have no receivers. And they haven't had receivers for the majority of the year. They lost their running back for a couple of games. They haven't had an offense other than Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and he got hurt. I think in the Saints game, he got hurt in that game. And so it wasn't like they were had their full arsenal throughout this run, but they still find a way to win. And that's just an example of one team. All the teams have major injuries to major players that is part of their overall game plan to win, but they find ways to win. Whereas the New Orleans Saints find ways to lose. And for Mickey Loomis to get on the telephone or be behind a microphone, wherever he was conducting that interview at, and when Bobby Hebert actually, and I give Bobby Hebert credit, that normally I don't listen to him because he's frustrating at times too, some of his takes. But I got to give him credit on this. He was drilling. He was drilling Mickey Loomis. I highly recommend you find it. It's probably on YouTube or wherever you can find that interview. But he asked him flat out about firing Dennis Allen. Are you looking at that? Is that an option? He didn't say no, but he basically said no. Oh, this was his answer. And I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but part of this is what he said. Oh, we look past the wins and losses. What? What you mean you looking past the wins? It's not always about wins and losses. What is it about then? What is it about? This is football. It's all about wins. It's all about that. That's the whole point. It's a competition. It's a contest. It's oh my God, what is he talking about? This dude, look, the New England Patriots, what's his name? Bob Kraft. He fired a head coach who won him not one, not two, but 6 Super Bowls. He fired him because the results. When Tom Brady left, their winning ways left too. And Bob Kraft said, bye to Bill Belichick. Bye. I don't care how many Super Bowls you won. You're not winning any now. Bye. This is a legendary first ballot Hall of Fame coach. And you mean to tell me that Dennis Allen, who hasn't won nothing as a coach, he was what, 18? Oh, not 18. I think he's 18 for something now, but he was 8 for 20 something as the head coach of the Raiders. They fired him. But we hired him and thought we were going to get something new and fresh out of it. No, he's still a loser. He still can't win and hasn't won in the 2.5 years that he's been the head coach. And you're going to tell me we're looking past. It's nothing to look past. What more do you need to see? His one bread and butter is the defense. That's how he is who he is. That's how he got in the lead. He is a awesome defensive coordinator. That's his calling card. As of late, that looks like trash. He has nothing to hold on to. And the team is not responding to him. The team looks undisciplined, or don't look undisciplined. They are undisciplined. And there's no other excuse. You lose this game Thursday night. What's the excuse? What can you say? I don't want to hear about the injuries. I don't want to hear about it. because they were looking like this before all the injuries started to pile up. So let's not use that excuse. Please give us some credit over here. And Mickey Loomis, man, look, the sad part is, no matter what happened, even if he fires Dennis Allen, we still have a problem, and it's Mickey Loomis. And he's not going nowhere. It's impossible. Nobody's going to fire. He answers to no one over there on airline. No one. And I don't know. It's just sad. But yeah, I had to get that off my chest. It's just infuriating to hear somebody talk to you like you're an idiot, like you don't know what you're watching. And the only way us as the Who Dat Nation can get our point across, to get our opinion felt, is through the pocketbook. It's through the pocket. It's to stop supporting this team. And that's the hardest thing to ever do, because especially for me, just talking from my perspective, this is my team. I love this team. This is the only team that I've been following my whole life. I've liked other teams throughout my life. It hasn't only been Saints, but the Saints are the only team that I've cheered for consistently for over 40 years. And so it pains me to feel this way. It pains me to have to sit there and watch that game last Sunday and wanted to change the channel, but couldn't change the channel because I love them. But, you know, it was like watching one of your children tied to a chair and somebody just beating them, and you couldn't do nothing. You just sitting there and had to watch it. You couldn't get up, couldn't wail on the people that was beating your kid, but you just had to sit there and watch it. You know, no choice. No, man, this is painful. This is the most painful thing ever. And it's been painful for the past 3 years. Yes, has the Saints been worse throughout their history? Of course, man. We had bags over our heads at one time. People actually paid money just to put a bag over their head. It was horrible, but we knew we were bad then. Not now. We're spoiled. And we're spoiled because of the man that we're about to face this Thursday, and that is Sean Payton. Sean Payton spoiled us. He showed us that we're better than what we were before. For all those years, we can actually accomplish something. We can actually be considered as winners. Him along with Drew Brees, of course, who's going to be honored at this game, coincidentally, the game that Sean Payton is going to be there. But yeah, it with those two, yeah, magic happened. Saints won their first Super Bowl ever. But on to this game. This is the second clash with an AFC opponent just this season. The early part of this season, we already played the Chiefs and we lost. And we have the Denver Broncos. And this is their second home game in 5 days. Coming off of that loss, as we talked about earlier, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints are 4-2. Denver is 3-3. The Thursday night matchup is the first time the Saints will host Denver since 2016. This is the first time we played them in 8 years. I thought we played them earlier. I thought we played them a couple of years ago. But that was in Denver. That's what it was. It was in Denver. But this is the first time they're going to be in the Dome since 2016. And it marks the second consecutive season that the Saints host a Thursday night game that will be on Prime Video. And what was it last year? Who was it? Was it the Rams, I think? Or was it Jacksonville? It was one of those primetime games, and we lost. I know that much. It don't matter which one, but we lost. And it was a bad loss. But this go around, I can't recall if this happened last year when they were on Prime Video, but this year, in case you don't have Prime Video and you want to watch the Saints game locally in the Metro New Orleans area, you can also watch it on WDSU Channel 6. So have no fear, if you don't have Prime Video. It will be Sean Payton's first head coaching appearance in New Orleans since he left. Sean Payton, of course, was the leader of this franchise from 2006 to 2021, before stepping down in 2021, and was hired as the Denver head coach in 2023. And, you know, before we go any further, touch in on Sean Payton for a minute. The question was asked, how is the response going to be for Sean Payton on Thursday night in the Dome? Will there be cheers? Will there be somewhat of reverence for the man that brought us our first Super Bowl? Or will there be a cascade of boos and jeering for the man that abandoned this team 3 years ago? Well, 2 years. Well, yeah, 3 years ago, under kind of suspicious circumstances, and pretty much put us in the state that we've been in for the past 3 years. What's going to be the response? If I was at that game, or was going to be at attendance at that game, I wouldn't make a noise, to be honest with you. I wouldn't boo or cheer. I'd just like, whatever. Whatever. My emotion towards Sean Payton is hot and cold. You know, I'm upset how he left. You know, let's not forget that he tried to leave earlier than that. He tried to go to Miami with Tom Brady the year before he retired, and that fell through, and then he just retired so he can go somewhere else. All right, I understand you get burnt out, and I get all that, but it's just kind of weird to me. You know, he didn't want to take the time to rebuild this team after Drew Brees left, and that was basically an excuse. He was getting older. It's taxing to rebuild a franchise and all this here. I get all that, you know, but he goes to Denver and does the same. That's basically what he's doing now. That's the part that's frustrating and makes you scratch your head like, come on, man. You could have did it here, but whatever. Spencer Rattler is expected to make his second consecutive start this Thursday night against one of the NFL's top-ranked defenses. You think Tampa Bay gave them the blues with their defense? Denver has a defense. Van Joseph is the different defensive coordinator, and for all of us locally, that's a local boy. That's a 504 boy. I think he went to Shaw, Archbishop Shaw. That's where he went to high school at. Went on to college and coach, and at one point he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. But he ended up I think he only coached there for 1 year as the head coach and got fired. And then when Sean Payton got hired, he ended up hiring him as the defensive coordinator. That seems kind of awkward to me. It just seems weird. At one time you was the head coach, and now you're the defensive coordinator. But it's working out because that defense is pretty doggone good. Around the NFC South this weekend, on Sunday, as I said before, the Saints are 2 games out of first place in the South, behind Atlanta and Tampa Bay, who are both 4-2. Ironically, we lost to both of them teams already. Had we beat them both, we would be on the top, but, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda. But Atlanta will be facing Seattle on Sunday. Carolina, who's the only team under the Saints right now, they're 1-5. They'll play Washington, and Tampa Bay will be playing the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night. So on paper, it looks like everybody going to lose in the South this weekend on paper, but we know this the NFL and anything can happen. But it would be nice if the Saints can squeak out this victory and everybody else loses over the weekend. Mike can help us out a little bit. It might start seeing a glimmer of light through the clouds, but we'll have to wait and see. Plus, we got to handle our business first. But it will not be easy because I know I jumped on them about making excuses about the injuries and all that. We do have a lot of injuries. We do, and it's racking up right now. I don't have a final injury report because I'm doing this show before they release the final who's out, who's in, who's questionable for Thursday night's game. But I do have the 17 names that are listed this week on the injury report. Guard Cesar Ruiz, he didn't practice this week. Derek Carr, of course, didn't practice this week. Lucas Patrick, our center slash guard, he was limited. They expect him to be back for Thursday night's game. Linebacker Pete Warner didn't practice this week. Rashid Shaheed did not practice this week with a knee injury. And I want to pause right there because you might be shocked by that. Like, he's hurt. Yes, he is hurt. And you want to know when he got hurt? In the fourth quarter of a blowout loss. Why was he in the game? Reason number 3074. Dennis Allen needs to be fired. Also, wide receiver Chris Olave, concussion, did not play or practice this week. Taysom Hill, he was limited with his rib injuries. He was limited. I don't expect him to play, but right now the Saints are desperate. So they probably going to shoot him up with horse tranquilizers. So they probably going to try him out there. I don't know, but he was limited. Defensive end Peyton Turner, yeah, he was limited. His name is etched in stone on the injury report, and that's been since he was drafted. Running back Alvin Kamara, he was limited all week. I didn't realize this Sunday. I didn't know till after the game. We all know that Alvin Kamara is dealing with a broken rib. He's been dealing with that for a couple of weeks now. Also a little hip contusion or something, dealing with that as well. I didn't know this man dealing with a broken hand because I was looking at him in that game, and there was a couple of screen passes that he just flat out dropped. And I'm like, Alvin Kamara is pretty sure-handed. How he dropped? He only had one hand. Why was he playing? Why was he playing? Reason number 5073. Dennis Allen should be fired. But yes, he has that hand injury. That's what's limiting him in practice. Carl Granderson, neck. He was limited, but he switched over to full the following day. Defensive tackle Nate Shepard, groin. He was limited. JT Gray, calf, limited. Cornerback Alante Taylor, shoulder, limited. Wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr., ankle, limited. Yeah, I mean, you got to laugh to keep from crying. Safety Tyrann Mathieu, forearm. He was a full participant, so we shall see. But he went out Sunday, and I was a little concerned by that. Linebacker Willie Gay Jr., hand, he was a full participant, as well as Bud Means, hand, full participant. I didn't even realize he was hurt. When I saw his name on here, I'm like, my God. And they cut, just a couple of weeks ago, they cut A.T. Perry, the wide receiver. They cut him to make room for the center that we needed. We needed a center because all of our centers were hurt. They cut A.T. Perry. You want to know where A.T. Perry re-signed at? The Denver Broncos. Can't make this stuff up, people. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, their injury list is pretty concerning for them. Kind of helps us, but not really. Their cornerback, their star cornerback, Patrick Surtain II, he didn't practice this week because he's dealing with a concussion. And so it's a possibility he won't play, but I don't think the Saints can take advantage of it because we don't have any receivers. And so I would get excited. I mean, not excited to the fact the man hurt. You know, I don't want to see anybody hurt on any team in the league, especially a concussion. But we can't take advantage of that. We couldn't take advantage of this gift that was given to us. Along with Patrick Surtain, the two other corners are hurt, even though they are expected to play. Jaquan McMillan, ankle. He was limited half the week, but he fully participated the other day. And Riley Moss, his hip, he was limited as well, but they are expected to play, as well as another cornerback, Mathis, his ankle, but he was a full participant. Diving into the lead rankings for both of these teams, starting with the records, we know that the Saints are 4-2, the Broncos are 3-3. Their scoring average, this is the NFL ranking. The Saints are sixth in the league. They're still pretty high up there, averaging 27.8 points per game. The Broncos aren't too shabby. They're pretty bad. It's 24th in the league, 18.7. Opponent scoring. Saints are ranked 23rd, averaging 24.5, whereas the Denver Broncos are ranked 4th, only allowing 16 points per game. Total offense, Saints are 18th, whereas the Broncos are 29th. Rushing offense, Saints are 12th in the lead to the Broncos 23rd. Passing offense, Saints are 21st in the lead to the Broncos 27th. This is where it hurts. This cuts deep because just 3 weeks ago, this team was the 4th ranked defense in the league. I'm talking about the New Orleans Saints. The Saints had the 4th ranked defense in the league just 3 weeks ago. The New Orleans Saints total defense as of week 7, going into week 7, is ranked 32nd, dead last. What a difference a couple of weeks make. Whereas the Broncos, they're now the 4th ranked defense in the league. Rushing defense, Saints are 20th in the lead to the Broncos 14th. Passing defense, Saints are 29th in the lead to the Broncos 5th. Turnover margin, which is still pretty decent. The Saints are 8th in the lead, or at least they're tied for 8th in the lead at a +3. And Denver Broncos are tied for 18th in the lead with a -1. Total touchdowns, Saints have 20 total touchdowns. Denver 10. That's a shocker for a for a Sean Payton led team. Penalties. Saints have 36 penalties for 360 yards. Denver Broncos 43 penalties for 390 yards. Team leaders, as far as stats are concerned, passing yards for the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, he is 121 for 198 pass attempts, 1,082 yards passing, 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. The leading passer for the New Orleans Saints is still Derek Carr. He only missed 1 game. 90 for 128, 989 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interception. Leading rusher for both teams, Denver Broncos, Javonte Williams, 59 carries for 213 yards, no touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 104 carries, 428 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Leading receiver for both teams, you have Sutherland for the Broncos, 21 catches, 277 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Leading receiver for the Saints is Shadid with 20 receptions, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns. My predictions for this Thursday night matchup with the Denver Broncos in the Caesars Superdome, I think that the Saints will lose a close one. This is going to be probably by a field goal or a touchdown. It's going to be a 1-possession game, but I think the Saints will fall to the Denver Broncos, and for no other reason other than the fact, one, we have a lot of injuries that we are dealing with, but secondly, until the Saints can show me that they turned the corner, and it's hard for me to believe you turned the corner in 3 days after what I've seen on Sunday. There's no way. Now, granted, Denver isn't a powerhouse team. Denver is a beatable team, and on our best day, we will wipe the floor with Denver just off of talent alone, in spite of our head coach. But right now, as this team stands, as it looks, I just don't see it. It's too insurmountable of problems, and injuries ain't even top 5 on the list right now of problems that the Saints have. Number one is of course Dennis Allen, and we will filter that all the way down to the injuries. But it's just a lot of issues here that in a short period of time that we can't really get past. Now, the one good thing is, due to the fact that this is a short week, you're more motivated, especially coming off an embarrassing loss. You want to hurry up, get back on the field, as a player, and that's motivation. Can these dudes do that? I don't believe so because, like I said before, they quit. They quit. So it's not like they gave it their all and lost. No, they quit. And so this was strategic by a team in that loss. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I think the Saints will fall. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I really do. I hope the Saints come out victorious, even though I know a win would probably secure Dennis Allen's job. And let's not get it twisted here. Dennis Allen ain't going nowhere. He's not, and I think that's the most frustrating thing. As a Saints fan who truly knows how this is going, who really knows how Dennis Allen thinks, how this organization conducts themselves, they're not going to fire him. If they do, it's going to be at the end of the season, when the season's over. But I'm not 100% confident in that because they're comfortable. This is the most complacent team ever. Contentment. They're happy with Dennis Allen. You know why? Because Dennis Allen isn't going to make waves. He's not Sean Payton. He is the complete opposite of Sean Payton. And that's what they want. And that's what they got. But they want Sean Payton results. It's not going to happen, bro. Yeah, I got the Saints losing. Now, if Saints were to have any chance in this game, the Saints will have to find a way in some shape, form, or fashion to run the ball. This has been an issue for the past month since we've been on this skid. Saints have not run the ball. And now, once again, a lot of factors going into that. The offensive line is hurt. There's some that plays a big part in the run game. The offensive line is banged up. But I kind of got to push back on that because I've seen holes for Alvin Kamara, but he's hurt. He hasn't hit them holes. Alvin Kamara got that quick burst, that quick first step, and it's not there right now. The dude is like he's put together with duct tape and spit and bubble gum. He is. I give him an A for effort, man. You will never hear me say he's not a tough cookie. He is one of the toughest running backs in the league, but not very smart because I would not be out there putting my career, my body, my health, and all that on the line for a team that is not committed to winning. And that's the bottom line. But they have to find a way to run this ball. I don't know if Kendre Miller is playing. He miraculously hasn't shown up on the injury report. So maybe he'll play, and maybe that can relieve some of the pressure off of Kamara. But yet and still, you had Jamal Williams and Jordan Mims, and you didn't even use them Sunday. So I don't know. Yeah. Now defensively, I don't know what to say. Where do I start? There's a whole show by itself, and I don't have the time. I don't have the wind power to go through it. My head already hurting, and so I'm not about to go through all of the issues in concerning that defense because we have a problem on every level of that defense, on that defensive line, in the linebacking core, and in the secondary. We have issues, and so yeah, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one. But overall, I think the Saints will fall to the Denver Broncos. Once again, I hope that I'm wrong. And how will you hear me apologize for being wrong if the Saints win? Well, you can catch the recap of this show after the Thursday night game as we recap the Saints versus the Denver Broncos. right here on the Dome Patrol podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the Saints versus the Buccaneers this Thursday night on Prime Video, as well as WDSU Channel 6 locally here in New Orleans. Oh man, Sean Payton returns to the Dome as the enemy. Never thought it. It's gonna be weird, man. It's gonna be so awkward to look at that. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm really not. Part of me is like, it's like, it's like, uh, it's like you in high school. You date this girl in high school, and, and well, no, that's a bad example. It's a bad example. I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, it's gonna be awkward. Let's just put it that way. But man, look, hopefully the Saints will come out victorious. The last thing you want to do is lose to Sean Payton on national TV. But that just tells me that the Saints will lose to Sean Payton on national TV. I hope that I'm wrong. I want to know, do you think I'm wrong? Or are you checked out this season? Do you think the season is done? I will say this. If the Saints lose Thursday, it's over. It's over. This season, you might as well pack it in. You might as well forget it. It don't make sense. You know how many hurdles you have to go through to even get to 500 the remainder of this season? It's not going to happen. And so their only hope is to win. That is facts. That is the actual truth there. But in any way, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Thank you for joining me for this preview. Can't wait to talk to you after the game, hopefully in a better mood about the Saints. But it's all good because even with this bad mood, even with the doom and gloom of the season so far, I'm still screaming, who that?